Is there a way to raise Atlantic salmon that isn't environmentally damaging? As the son of a commercial fisherman and being a member of our family seafood market, buying fish from local commercial fishermen is and always will be our top priority. We've all heard the concerns about farmed Atlantic salmon. Despite this, the demand is growing substantially every year. The truth is, farming salmon is not going away. This is why it's my belief that our best option is encouraging better practices in the salmon farming industry and support farms that are leading the way in raising healthy fish in an environmentally considerate way. Welcome to the Faroe Islands, a group of islands in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean between Iceland and mainland Europe, known for its breathtaking landscapes and rich maritime heritage. Today, we're diving into the world of sustainable aquaculture by visiting Hidden Fjord, a family-owned Atlantic salmon farm that's setting new standards for environmental responsibility and fish welfare. Many of my customers are concerned about environmental and health impacts of farmed Atlantic salmon, and I don't blame them. Issues like pollution, overuse of antibiotics, and unnatural additives have raised valid questions. So, how can we make responsible choices? Let's explore how Hidden Fjord is addressing these concerns head on. Hidden Fjord raises their salmon in the most exposed farm sites in the world, in the strong currents of the open seas surrounding the Faroe Islands. This natural environment keeps the salmon fit and prevents pollution of the seabed, as the strong currents disperse waste, preventing accumulation and reducing the risk of methane buildup, a common concern in fish farming. This current is ripping through, constantly replacing the water in this pen, making these salmon living in clean water. It's really awesome. These fish are raised in low-density pens. Lower densities reduce stress, disease transmission, and physical injuries. Fish have more space to swim, leading to healthier growth and higher quality meat. Less waste accumulates in and around the pens, reducing the ecological footprint. So farming their fish on the edge of the fjord, where the current is really strong, is addressing the concern for methane buildup on the seabed, which is a very common, valid concern for fish farming. So it's addressing one of these concerns where they're sitting in waste, because these fish don't sit in waste. It's addressing another concern where the waste is going down into the seabed and overriching the seabed underneath the farm, which causes other problems. Because the current is so strong, all of that waste is moving and being dispersed. It's like when you over-fertilize one spot, it's going to kill whatever's there. But if you spread it out thinly, it actually becomes a positive thing. Hidden Fjord prides themselves on raising fish without the use of antibiotics or growth hormones. And the reason why they're able to do this is because of the optimal living conditions they're giving the fish. As you can see, the fish in these pens are fired up and doing well. The diet of farmed Atlantic salmon is another big concern for consumers, and rightfully so. Their diet affects their health and directly affects the quality of their meat. Hidden Fjord uses a non-GMO feed that includes fish and krill. You know, I see all the things online about GMO toxic fish. Well, these fish have zero GMOs in them whatsoever. Now let's address the elephant in the room, that orange color. I hear so many people talk about that salmon is dyed when referring to farmed salmon. And in one way, you are right. The color is added to make the salmon orange. But where that color comes from, you might be a little confused from. The color in farmed Atlantic salmon comes from astaxanthin. Astaxanthin is an amino acid that comes from krill and microalgae, things that the salmon is eating naturally in the wild to get its orange color, is how these fish are getting their orange color. Not only that, but astaxanthin is an incredibly powerful amino acid. It is really good for you. Astaxanthin is awesome for your eyes, your brain, your skin, and it is very anti-inflammatory. So there's a ship right there that is pumping the feed into the pens. You've got that hose spinning that's distributing all the feed down to the salmon. They have a camera underneath that once the feed starts sinking so low, the feed turns off. So that way, not only are they utilizing all that feed, but nothing is sinking down to the bottom, or at least very minimal of it is sinking down to the bottom. Harvesting methods can significantly impact fish welfare and product quality. Hidden Fjord employs a stress-free harvesting technique that is not only kinder to the fish, but reduces the buildup of lactic acid and cortisol in the fish, resulting in better taste and longer shelf life. Instead of being pumped out of their pens into a tank on a transport boat, then shipped to the processing facility, these fish are slowly tugged inside of a transport pen to the processing facility. This is a costly step, but it's a step I hope other companies start to take on because it really does make a difference in the quality of the fish for our customers. Let's cut one up and take a look. First thing we're gonna do is take the scales off. And I like to use a curry comb for removing the scales of my salmon. Yes, this is a horse brush, and it works great for scaling these beautiful salmon. So we're gonna start from the bottom and work our way up with nice, long, smooth motions. And then you can pick up the speed, make sure you get all the scales off the belly, and you wanna make sure you get the scales off the collars as well. We do not leave these collars or these salmon heads behind. Every little bit of the fish is gonna get used, and we're gonna start our fillet in a way that is gonna give us a great collar portion for our display case. Our customers love that we have all of the offcuts in our display, salmon collars being one of them. Flip the fish over and repeat the process. Make sure you get the collars, and this guy is ready for his rinse. Now before the fish is filleted, we can hose it down with fresh water, no problem. But after the fish is off the skeleton, we don't want fresh water touching any of the meat. Not just for salmon, but all fish. When fresh water touches the meat of your fish, it's going to absorb a little bit of that fresh water, compromising the taste and texture and the shelf life. Fresh water will oxidate your fish quicker, which just makes it age quicker. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna puncture the membrane underneath the gills and slide around. That way the entire collar portion is released from that gill membrane. And there are two bones on the collarbone. This top one is resting on the one right underneath. You wanna take your knife, slide right underneath that bone, lift up on the collar, twist your knife just like that, and you wanna make sure your knife is resting on top of the spine. That way you're not missing out on any of that delicious salmon meat. Nice, smooth pushes just like this until you get to the bottom, and look how good that looks. All right, we're gonna flip it over and repeat the process. And there's our beautiful second side. Now, even though we got most of the meat off of this skeleton, there's still a little bit there. We're not throwing this away. There's still great meat on there, and we're either gonna sell this skeleton and the head, or if it doesn't sell, we're gonna pull all the meat off and use it for fish cakes or something similar. All right, now we're gonna start trimming it up before we put it in our display case. We're just gonna gently shave that fat cap off just like that. This fat is delicious, but it's not the most beautiful. Up next, we wanna remove these rib bones. They're gonna be resting right here just on the inside of the pin bone line. We wanna get our knife right underneath those bones, and we wanna feel the bones with our knife. We want the knife to be resting on those bones, but not cutting through those bones. That way we're not missing out on any meat on the other side of those bones as we slide down. Just like that. And there are the entire rib bones, and you can see them poking out right there. No meat loss on the other side. Up next, we're gonna pull out the pin bones. We got little salmon bone tweezers here, and we're gonna get a good grip next to the bone. Want your finger next to it as you pull forward and slightly towards the belly. The reason why your finger is next to it is so that way the fish wants to follow that bone out, and holding the meat down helps it slide out nice and easy. And farms like Hidden Fjord provide markets and restaurants with a certificate called a Parasite Destruction Certificate. This is what government bodies want to see for you to legally sell your fish as a sushi quality product. It shows that this is a safe thing to eat raw. And if we get inspected after calling this a raw thing, we're going to show that government body that certificate provided by the farm. And this fish is delicious raw. When we were in the Faroe Islands, my new friend, Chef Guti, made a couple of dishes out of this beautiful fish. And one of them was completely raw, one of them was seared. And that was an awesome experience. After getting the pin bones out, we're gonna pick up the collar, we're gonna pull it a little bit. Not hard, we don't want to tear the meat, but just tug a little bit. That way we can get a straight cut, just like this. And there is our collar portion. So these will go into the display. Now we're going to take off the rest of the membrane, So we just use all of this in a trim pile that goes on our smoker and gets turned into our smoked salmon dips. The demand for salmon in restaurants and markets is not getting any smaller. It's getting greater every year. And producing a more ethical farmed salmon comes at a greater cost. And it's awesome to see chefs in restaurants take on that greater cost to support people that are putting out a more environmentally considerate product. The truth is, there's a lot of salmon farms that aren't doing it the right way, but there is a handful that are addressing our concerns and putting a lot of time and effort into producing environmentally considerate fish and healthy fish. And it's up to us to support the companies that are doing it the right way, to put pressure on the ones that aren't. Thanks for watching. Have a killer day.